Once, a mother had given birth to a baby boy. And she loved this baby boy so much, and he loved her back. As he slowly grew up from being 1 day old to 6 month old, he was beginning to use his hands more, his eyes more. And he was feeling his own face and looking at his own reflection, then feeling his mother's face and seeing her. And he realized that his mother is different than him, that he has eyes and she doesn't have eyes. Fine. Then he shifted to kindergarten, and his mother would walk with him to school and drop him off, and he would go to school. And then he would look around at his students, he would look at his students' parents, that they all had eyes, but she didn't. This went on, so now he's in higher elementary school. And as they're walking to school, he says to her, "I'll walk the rest of the way by myself." And she knew why he wanted to go by himself, because now he was feeling that his mother is different. And she said, "If this is what you want, fine." So he went to school and she went home. Now fast forward to high school, there's group projects, and he would always try to encourage the group to meet somewhere else and not at his home. But if they had to come to his home, he would tell his mother, "You don't come in the room or we're going to meet." And as much as this hurt her, it's her own home, but if this is what you want, fine. Fast forward to college, and he's finished college, and his mother is reading his convocation invitation. It had come in the mail. And he comes back to that home and sees her reading it, and he takes it from her and says, "I don't want you to come. I don't want people to know in front of so many people where I've come from." And for anyone who has an older child who has graduated from college, right, there's a sign of independence there. And as sad as it was, she said fine and didn't come. He got a job, he got married, he had a son of his own now. And one day, his mother is playing now with her grandson, okay? And the grandson starts to cry. Maybe hungry, maybe tired, who knows? But that grandson's mother, as in her daughter-in-law, she's frustrated and tells her husband, as in the mother's son, "Your mother's scaring our child." Now he's frustrated by this and says, "We don't want you to come here, you're scaring our son." And anyone who knows anything about an infant, that's completely illogical. Infants aren't scared. But she says, "If this is what you want, fine." Some months later, this son gets a phone call from a lawyer. It's the mother's lawyer. And the lawyer says, "Your mother has passed away, and she left me a letter that I need to give to you, so come and get it." So he goes to that office in a sad, somber way. And the lawyer gives him this letter. And when he opens up the letter, it's not her handwritten note, it's a hospital certificate that states when he was born without eyes, and she had donated her eyes to him. And that naturally completely crushed him, because his whole life he took his mother for granted. Everyone's feeling me. As humans, irrespective of whether we're parents or not, irrespective of whether we're seekers or not, we all have a vice that is known as avidya. Avidya means ignorance, but in a very practical way, it means taking for granted. You know, if I were to tell you you're an ignorant person, you would reject that. But if you were to tell me I take for granted this or that, how can I deny that? And so we have spiritual parenting retreats for us not to take for granted that we have been cared for, surely by our parents and our grandparents, but the original parent. We take that for granted. And we have these retreats to remind us. Try to connect retreat and reminder. And I think for the group that's here, in a formal way, I feel most of what I've shared with you, you already know. I may have used a few words in Sanskrit or Hindi that you may not be familiar with, but the principles you already know. But if we're not following them, then that means we don't know them. So this retreat is a reminder, and I'm strongly suggesting to everyone for you to make this spiritual parenting retreat an annual function of your family. This is just what you do. Like suppose you get together with your friends for the Super Bowl. It's just what you do. Now this is just what you do in terms of the parenting retreat, the marriage retreat, the Day2 retreat. There's lots of people I know who have systemized this. The perspective is that the spiritual parenting retreat will be in Cleveland next spring. As soon as I know, I'll let you know. This retreat is zooming into the vision of courage. Because being a caregiver, being a parent is difficult. As someone who lived as a brahmachari, I'm telling you experientially, as someone who was married with no kids, married with one kid, married now with 2 kids, the most difficult period of my life is presently. There's the most amount of relationships, responsibilities, demands. It is difficult. And without courage, we feel dejected. We normalize stress, anxiety, dejection. But with courage, we register it's difficult, but it's worthwhile. I've shared with you that I didn't want to have a child, but I didn't want to have children. I explained that. But if you were to ask me if you could rewind to 2017, would you change it? I wouldn't change it. I would not change it. And I'm happy that I feel that way because it shows I'm not dejected. It is difficult, but it's worthwhile. Do I wish lots of changes in my children's behavior? Definitely. That's why I pray so much. But no regrets. How we can nurture courage is through the Ramayana. The Ramayana is the path to joy. In the Ramayana, we come to understand that our original parent is Bhagavan. Mahabharata, our original parent is Bhagavan. Bhagavatam, our original parent is Bhagavan. And that really sets the precedent for how you should be a caregiver. That you are a child before you are a parent. Now we think, in my case, I am a parent, so I forget that I'm a child of my parents, and that's fine, but I get to see them regularly. What I've really forgotten is that I'm a child of the original parent. By remembering one is a child of the original parent, one's narrative changes completely. When we were playing games today, there was a couple of people who came and told me that they have injuries to their legs. And because they explained before the game, okay? After the game, everyone. But before the game, they told me about this. So there was no sattvic pressure from me on them. But if you don't have an injury, you're going to get that sattvic pressure. Run! This is part of the retreat. But you see how that one insight changes my relationship with that person. So knowing one is a child of the original parent changes one's vision. On Monday nights, I teach a course called Parenting Culture. And I share regularly, you are a seeker before you are a parent. Factually, that's true, correct? You were born not married, you were born not as a parent, all of that came in time. But you were born as a seeker. If you acknowledge that, the narrative changes. In the Ramayana, we are zooming into which Gita? Vibhishana Gita. Vibhishana is a family of 3 brothers, and each of these brothers symbolizes a different part of us. So starting with Kumbhakarna. If you open up the Sanskrit, Karna means ears. Kumbha means pot. We typically think Kumbhakarna has big ears, and he does. But the implication is that his ears are like a pot that are turned inwards. That means you can't listen then, correct? If I go like this, it's like I'm Kumbhakarna. I can't hear you now. Understood? The pot is closed. So whenever we don't listen, we are Kumbhakarna. Ravana was one who listened and didn't listen. He listened to negative advice and didn't listen to positive advice. He listened to his shady ministers who told him, do what you want. You are the best. You can beat everyone. When he had so much good advice from his great wife, his great brother, his great father-in-law, but he never listened to them. So for us, we listen to gossip, but we don't listen to constructive criticism, as an example. Vibhishana was one who listened. He is one who's filled with sattva or quietude, and that's why when Hanumanji arrived in Lanka, he arrived at night, and then he was traveling through Lanka to find Bhagavati Sita. So now it's early morning time, and in that early morning time, everyone was sleeping other than Vibhishana. Vibhishana was on his porch, he was looking at the sun, he was chanting Ram. So right away, Hanumanji knew he's the right person to find Bhagavati Sita. So this is a way in your home you can judge. This is Kumbhakarna, this is Ravana, this is Vibhishana. So the point I'm trying to make is that Vibhishana is one who listened, he was open. So when Bhagwan Rama says, you're using your eyes to recognize a chariot, now I need you to listen that there's a different kind of chariot. What is this chariot made of? We start with the wheels. Those wheels are courage and determination. For courage, we are going to give up complaining. How many of you feel like you're doing a better job at that? I think you are. I haven't heard really any complaints from anyone. Because you know I'm Kumbhakarna to your complaints. Then determination, we are going to renounce complacency. This too, I feel like all of you are doing well at. How did I describe Seattle? Sincere Seattle. You have learned so much. This is our third workshop, correct? So 6 hours. I haven't seen one sota. Not even one. Usually in hour one, there's many sotas. I'm the sota here. You are all shrotas. Determination. The word Upanishad, I know many people study the Upanishad. The N-I in Upanishad is for determination. The full Sanskrit word is Nishchaya. That I'm determined to change. So to renounce complacency. The second part was the flags. The big flag is a dwaja. The small flag is a pataka. And I can't help but share this because I love this insight. Have you all seen a flag with a Ram on it? Like it just says Ram. Yes, you've all seen that. You know who Sri Lakshmana is for that flag? He's the pole. Sri Lakshmana's only dharma in life was to be the pole for Bhagwan Rama's flag. What a life of humility. That I'm just a pole. I'm just an instrument for Ram. How clear he was about his purpose. And I'm sharing that because that's how we can give up deservership and doership. Just be a pole. Tell your kids, what did you learn in the parenting tree? Be a pole. The dwaja symbolizes satya. In English? Integrity. Integrity. The way to nurture integrity is to have an ideal. Acharya Shankara shared The mind's function is samshaya. Tell me what that means in English? Doubt. That's right. That's why the mind overthinks. Did I do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? It interprets. 2 samosas are good, 3 samosas are better. Now, the intellect's function is nishchaya. Nischaya. What does chaya mean in English? Shade. You know, you can't see clearly where there's no shade. You can see clearly. Its function is an ideal. When one has an ideal in life, waking up becomes simpler. It was Malcolm X who shared, if you don't stand up for something, you fall for everything. I'd also heard, if you don't wake up with a purpose, the world takes over. But if you wake up with a purpose, you will push the world around rather than be pushed around. Now for Satya, we are going to renounce compromise. For those who have ever studied Narada Bhakti Sutra, I would say the main message there is to be uncompromising with bhakti. To be uncompromising. Then the Pataka was Shila. Shila in English means nobility. And I had mentioned that the sign of nobility is inclusivity. I'll give you some history behind this. When I speak in more secular engagements on faith, I tend to explain what a swastika is. What did I say? Swastika. What did I not say? Swastika. Swastika is made up of 2 words. Su, asti. Su means goodness. Like su prabhata, good morning. And asti means being. So su asti means good being or well-being. Ka means this is a symbol of it. Like Om Kara. This is the symbol that is Om, right? This is an Omkara. Me chanting it, there's no symbol there. That's just Om. Now if you take the swastika, which means well-being, and a related word is Aryan. Yes? I'm not saying Aryan, I'm saying Aryan. Aryans were known as those who are noble. And Aryan is one who's living for all of the people in that society. That means they have to be very inclusive, correct? When that's misinterpreted, the swastika becomes the swastika, but really, the technical term is Hakenkreuz. Hakenkreuz is a German word for crooked cross. That's totally different than a swastika, yes? And for them, Aryan, which means nobility, means they are noble and nobody else is. They were thinking about me and mine, not us and ours. That's why I'm really opening up. Nobility means inclusivity. Where one is a large-hearted person to live for more and more and more. And so to do that, we have to renounce comparing. To renounce comparing. As soon as we compare, what are we doing? Creating exclusivity. Do you see that? Now I'll tell you something dangerous that happens with comparing, okay? So this is like a ladder of fall, okay? So I'm comparing. If I don't check this, I fall to the next rung, downwards, not good. What does comparing lead to? We're going to get there. Competing. See, comparing is a light way. Her hair is long and his hair is short. But if you don't check it, you keep fertilizing that negativity and it becomes competing. That's very different, correct? You may lightly compare your children, but if you don't approach it rightly, it becomes a competition. Do you know how your brother is? Do you know how your cousin used to be? And now look at you. That's awful to hear, right? Okay. Now imagine I'm competing with someone, and I'm winning, but but you can't keep winning. That's impossible. Nobody just wins. So if you don't check competing, you fall more into jealousy. Jealousy. Does anyone know the Sanskrit word for jealousy?
Isha.
Isha is one. Matsarya. Matsarya. Now, the etymology of this word is mat sarati. When you slip away from me, meaning when you get ahead of me, then I'm jealous. See, if you're behind me, I like it. If you're beside me, that's okay. But as soon as you slip ahead of me, jealousy. What do? Try to pull you back. Try to pull you down. Coming back to the Ramayana, who was the being that tried to pull Hanumanji down? Simhika. She symbolizes jealousy. And what did Hanumanji do with her? He just knocked her out right away. Because you can't logicize jealousy. As soon as you start, you will lose. So you just gotta, you asked me about stress, what do you have to do? Just do something. That way it doesn't get nourished. Now here's the final part of this fall. What does jealousy turn into? Way worse than that, actually. Insecurity. When jealousy is not checked, it turns into insecurity. And I think all of you heard me. The lighter problem society faces is isolation. But the more serious problem humans face is insecurity. How many of you feel you're insecure in some sort of way, by a show of hands? Everyone is. As soon as you know it, it's good because you can start to grow out of it. So to renounce comparing. The wheels are set. The flags are set. What is next is the horses. Everyone's seeing this very unique chariot. 2 wheels, 2 flags, and now 4 horses. Here's what they are. Bala, Viveka, Dhamma, Parahita, Gore. I'll go slowly. Gore means horses. Horses. Bala, just tell me your typical definition of Bala. Strength. Viveka, because this is Avadi. It's not Hindi, it's not Sanskrit. Viveka, which really is Viveka. Viveka. What's your definition of that?
Discrimination.
I'm hearing a lot of people talk about discrimination right now. That means it's story time, okay? Many years ago, I think it was 2018, there was the mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Everyone sort of recalls that news? At that time, I was looking after the Pittsburgh Center from 2013 to 2018. And so the second mandir in North America, is the Venkateshwara Mandir in Pittsburgh. They had organized a faith forum, really to bring more positivity to the community after this loss. That mandir is a place of faith also. So they invited all of the community leaders to speak, and I was the final speaker to kind of summarize. You know, what do they call those notes? Like in not a cliff notes. Like what you're supposed to do from that conference. Yeah, the action item. I don't know, whatever. There's a formal title for that. So I was supposed to do that. So here's the podium, and the MCs are there, and I'm sitting here. And then they had shared, our final speaker to bring everyone together is Acharya Vivek, and Vivek is the one who knows how to discriminate. So imagine, the 300 people of all faiths, not Sanskrit speakers, so I'm walking on stage and they're saying he knows how to discriminate, so I just started looking down. Till I got to the mic and I said, I think what they meant is the one who knows how to prioritize. See, you have to be very clear about language. Don't take words casually. Viveka sure does mean discrimination, but in a practical way, it means prioritization. To know what's important and urgent, and what's not important and urgent. Then people became more settled. So, viveka. The third horse is dhamma. Tell me your definition of dhamma. Control of senses, calmness of body. We are going to use the word discipline. Shri Krishna engaged in dhyana. After that it was dhamma. And I said it's rituals. It is discipline of the body particularly. Okay? And the fourth horse is parahita. Hita is a very beautiful name. There's people who have the name Hita. What does parahita mean? Yes, the one who's concerned about another person's welfare. Hita is welfare, but para means your welfare. Everyone's clear about these four horses? Okay. Let's start to think about them more. This is the fifth value. Values make one more courageous. Like I told you, ethics make one more resilient. Does everyone remember what I had shared yesterday? The 3 ways to develop resilience. What's number 1? Exercise. We did that today. What's number 2? Examples. That's why I'm sharing a lot about experiences with Hanumanji and Pujaswami Tejomaina, the examples. And what's the third? Ethics. That's what we're zooming into. These values make one more courageous. Bala, we are going to define as stamina. Because we don't need a lot of physical strength, but we do need physical stamina. I was telling my host, and I've told my wife and kids this too, my prayer to Bhagwan is the minimum age I want to live to is for my kids to get to college. Get to college. So that's 59 for me. It was very specific. And really, once they get to college, I should have lived in such a way that they're independent, so I'm there or not there, they shouldn't miss me. They shouldn't functionally miss me. Of course they would miss me, but functionally they shouldn't need me at that point. But for me to live to 59, I have to have stamina. I have to have a lung capacity, a heart capacity, and so on. So we don't need strength, but we do need stamina. Shared in a more practical way, bala or stamina can be nurtured by being energetic. An energetic person has more stamina. Yes? Now I'm going to ask you then, how do you develop energy? How do you become a more energetic person? High fructose corn syrup, yes? Caffeine, right? There's so many caffeine drinks, caffeine pills. Eating healthy, good. Breathing less or eating less. I heard both of those. Exercise.
Sleep enough.
Sleep, yes. Wake up before the sun, yes. Put very simply, it's to be healthy. The healthier you are, the more energetic you are. The more energetic you are, the more your stamina will be there. Does that all make sense? Do you all agree? So, are you healthy? How many of you, if you were to meet someone who can really see all of your life, Chitragupta. Imagine you at a meeting with Chitragupta who knows everything you do, and he asks you, do you eat healthy? How many of you would share you do eat healthy? So half a hand, one and a half hands, and a lot of dancing. Now look. Okay, I want to know, what degree do you have? What's your educational degree? A BTech. Bachelor's. Undergrad something. MBA. You. Masters. You. MD, going on to become a surgeon, a specialized surgeon, and so on. And my point is, eating healthy, there's 1-2 hands here. Who doesn't know that? We're so educated, but still don't follow through with eating healthy. If I'm not healthy, I don't have energy. If I don't have energy, I don't have stamina. I need to be there for my kids or those who I'm caring for, correct? And I'm just sharing just real examples. Yesterday I went for a walk. Today people were walking when they were playing games, so we changed it to freeze tag. That wasn't for you, that was for me to get my steps in. You think soccer is part of this retreat? It's only for me to exercise. But I'm doing it so I can keep coming back every year. Or my back hurts, I can't come to teach in Seattle. Make sense? Now the second question that your Chitragupta is going to ask you, do you exercise healthy? Eat healthy, exercise healthy. Hence, good. There's many more hands up. Not a majority, I just said more comparatively. I read a lovely quote that said, if exercise came in a bottle, it would be the most widely prescribed prescription. If it came in a bottle, who wouldn't prescribe that? So now we have to get into, what are we going to renounce? You have 4 C's. Looking at me. What was the third C? Third C. We don't know.
No, not this compromise.
The third C was complacency. See, now you're confusing me. Okay, what was the first C? No, renouncing complaining. The second one? Complacency. Third one? Compromising. Fourth one? Comparing. It's like if I were to ask you to chant the Chinmay Mission Pledge. Chant the 4th paragraph. Right? And we stand as one family, you have to get there till you get to the 4th one. Now we're shifting from C's to I's. 4 I's are going to be shared with you now. It is to renounce indulgence. Renounce indulgence is a way to eat and exercise healthy, so I can be energetic, so I can have the stamina to care. To renounce indulgence at 2 levels. Indulging in terms of food is pretty straightforward. 2 samosas, not indulgence. 3 samosas, indulgence. That's pretty straightforward. But here I want to zoom into the exercise part. Remember I told you my kids ask me if they can't brush their teeth? They usually ask that when they're more tired. They're just, we just can't do it, and so on. So here, what I'm trying to share is, we tend to find reasons not to exercise. Long day, or daylight savings time, now I can't exercise. So that is indulgence, that I'm finding reasons not to exercise healthy. So that has to be renounced. Next horse is viveka. I've already explained what does it mean in a practical sense. Prioritization. If you're invited to an interfaith forum, do not say discrimination. Yes? It means prioritization. Opening this up more. The way that we can try to cultivate prioritization is to be around one who knows what's important and urgent. Viveka is a very unique value. For those who study Advaita Vedanta, it's often referenced as the first value before the rest of the values come in. Often like that. Now it's so important, and if you think about the experiences that have impacted you the most in life, the most impact probably has come from a person. You're feeling me? You may have gone on an awesome vacation, but it didn't impact you the way an awesome mentor did. Do you agree? Yes. You may have gone through a very serious injury. Let's call it serious car accident, whatever it is. But I think it wouldn't have hurt you as much as if someone was disloyal to you or insulted you publicly, whatever it may be. Do you agree? It is humans that impact us, good and bad, way more than any circumstance, definitely than any article, like a car or a computer and so on. So if one wants to cultivate prioritization, it is to revolve around someone who is already prioritizing. Offering this in a more simple way, the reason to be around someone who prioritizes is to learn how to think critically. To think critically. That means to not just do what everyone else is doing. To not do that. If that was the case, stress would be normal. Yes? Is everyone feeling me? Second horse is Viveka. What does it mean? Prioritization. How do I nurture this? Revolving around someone who prioritizes. How will I even get to that? By thinking more critically. In the Ramayana, isn't there a sharing Binu Satsanga? Viveka Nahoy, correct?
Yes.
You need Viveka to get to Satsang, and what do you learn in Satsang? Viveka. Now we get into our renouncing. For stamina, we have to renounce indulgence. For Viveka, we have to renounce influence. Influence. I obviously mean negative influence. Obviously. Okay. A good friend of mine and I were talking about mob mentality. 25 years ago, a mob that would influence, say, a person like near you, it may have taken 50 people who are moving in this direction for me to think I should go in this direction too. But now, we've become so susceptible to influence, it doesn't take 50 people, it takes 5 people. You see how we're becoming more vulnerable to influence. And with the prevalence of the internet, many of us grew up before the internet, it's even easier to become radicalized now. You keep reading stories, hearing stories about, and I know this personally, not me, but I've interacted with a lot of people who have been an inch in my mission for some time. And at night, instead of going to sleep, they would just goof around on the internet. And I'm saying many, of these people became radical, mostly Christians. And so their parents are devastated by this. They're calling their parents pagans. They're going to go to hell. And so when I show up in that city, they always want me to meet that person. They feel the same way about me. I'm a pagan. I'm going to go to hell and so on. So I don't try to convert them. I only try to encourage them to think critically. Why do you think I'm going to go to hell? I'm relatively a cheerful person. Why do you think I'm going to go to hell? I'm not harming anyone. Why do you think I'm going to go to hell? You're feeling me? So to renounce influence. You are your own person. And sharing this in a couple of more digressions. There's a show on Netflix right now called Griselda. And it's essentially about a Davy who moves from Colombia to Miami, and she becomes the godmother of selling cocaine. Okay, just hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Don't be influenced by Vivek. That's what you're learning right now. But her observation is that the people in Miami have everything outside, but they still feel empty. And so they're the best people to sell cocaine to. I thought that was a very powerful point that was showed in this show, that they have everything but still feel like they're nothing. And so they're great customers. They're easily influenced. But would you be able to do that to someone who's independently happy? Why do they need this or that? They're independent. Yes? And so I see this in a lighter way in the communities I interact with, is people do a lot because they're supposed to. I'm supposed to chant Vishnu Sahasranama. I'm supposed to become a software engineer. I'm supposed to have this square footage of home. But there's a danger in such living, because as soon as you reach I'm supposed to, what do you feel? What next? So you get the next I'm supposed to, then what happens? What next? That is an exhausting experience to play the game of I'm supposed to, what next? I'm supposed to, what next? Do you agree? Okay. There are 4 horses. I'm just going to be brief over the next 2. That way we can get into our dynamics. The 4th horse is Dhamma. Sorry, the 3rd horse is Dhamma. The English definition is discipline. I'm just going to share what we're going to renounce. It is to renounce instinct. Renounce instinct. When everyone else is being indisciplined, our instinct tends to become, I also should be indisciplined. But what to do? Renounce instinct. The 4th horse is Parahita. In English, empathy. Empathy. And our renunciation is going to be renouncing insularity. Insularity. Tell me what insularity means. Just thinking about yourself, being self-centered. If you're going to be empathetic, you have to spread that empathy from me to you to more. So final review, now I'm asking you to look at me in the eyes. Let's go backwards. We have 8 very specific practices. The 8th renunciation is to renounce insularity. The 7th, instinct. Good. 6th, influence. 4th, indulgence. Great. 5th. That was 5th. That was 5th, right? 8, 7, 6, 5. Now 4. Comparison. Comparing. Doesn't matter. All the same. Comparing. 3. Compromise. 2. Complacency. And 1. Complaining. Good. Very, very, very good. Tomorrow, for our final workshop, we're going to take up the final aspect. If there's 4 horses, there also has to be 3 ropes. And then the final part of this, who's holding those ropes? The charioteer. So tomorrow we'll go through more of the 3 ropes and the 1 charioteer. That will complete a 12-point program. Yes?
Why 3 ropes?
Well, think about it. If there's 4 horses, there's 1 rope between both of them. Like that. You know, like here, 1 web, 2 web, 3 webs.
Oh.
Got it? So, on that note, in the Bhagavad Gita, when you look at the imagery, how many horses are there?
5.
4 horses.
So image 4, but he talks about 5.
There are 4 horses. The horses represent the 5 senses. Your tongue symbolizes touch and taste. Both. It would be illogical to have 5, when your cars have 5 wheels. There's 4 horses, but one of the horses which symbolizes touch and taste. Okay? So tomorrow, 3 horses, 1 charioteer.